You have a subcommittee report on Senate Study Bill 3081.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do. Signed by Sweeney and Whiting, recommends passage. Senator Bizignano did not sign.
You're in order for opening comments.
Thank you very much. This is a bill to looking at protecting 16 and 17-year-olds from predators, sexual predators. And it's a person who engages in sexual activity with another person who is 16 or 17 years of age and is guilty of an aggravated misdemeanor. That's the end of my opening comments.
Are there any questions? Senator Bizignano, you're in order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill came up last year. And this is a really unusual bill. And I don't know why we breathe any life back into it this year, but we have. I haven't, but you have. We have an age of consent in this state, and I don't think anyone in this room doesn't understand the definition of the word consent. And when you take a word like consent, and now we have built fences around it with caveats of you can't do this or you can't do that. I'm really concerned, Senator Sweeney, that you called people who today are legal under the current law in the age of consent, that your terminology that somehow we're stopping sexual predators. Well, now they become sexual predators who today, or if this bill would pass, and I sure hope it doesn't, and signs into law, you're fine today and you're an upstanding citizen, but if this is signed now, if you fall in this category of these stipulations to the term consent, you're a predator. And I see where you have softened the blow from a deep felony to an aggravated misdemeanor, but you still have criminalized something that's been legal in Iowa for, I don't know when this was passed, but I would assume decades. And we're talking about 16 and 17-year-olds who would have consensual sex with people who are 27. And it could be a male. It could be a 17-year-old male who has consensual sex. May be having consensual sex at 16 with a 26-year-old for a year. But as soon as that guy starts, when he hits his birthday, becomes 27. And so at that time, by law, they would have to stop having sex, even though they're in love, even though maybe they're engaged. Or they would be a sexual predator, and they would commit an aggravated misdemeanor. And at 16 is the age of consent to get married with your parents' approval. So the parents' consent is not stipulated that if the man is a certain age or the woman is a certain age, they can consent to let their 16-year-old marry a 40-year-old. We don't have any problem with that, and that guy's not a sexual predator. I mean, when you think of the contradictions in this bill, I mean, first, without going into great detail of the nexus of this bill, which really ought to be on the table, but we're not talking about it. Maybe it was an unfortunate situation, but I assume it was consensual. And you know, know, parents are parents. I know that people marry outside their age range of maybe what their parents find acceptable. But when you reach the age of consent, then we accept it as parents and we go on. This is very punitive. When you play with the numbers of ages and birthdays and so forth, you may just hate this guy who's 27. Maybe he's 30, they just haven't had sex. But on your daughter's 18th birthday, they just tell you, hey, I'm headed to the motel. You're not going to like it any less because she's now 18 by one day, but she's still with the same guy that she is in love with or wants to have consensual sex. And Iowa has to decide what age do we want consent. It's easier for me to accept if we make the age of consent in this state 18, bit of odd, but Iowa, has chosen to be odd in a lot of different areas. Why not change it to 18? Let's don't create a category of sexual predator of someone who may have in love with your son or your daughter and been having sex with them for a long time, but hits his birth date and all at once, he's a predator. If you want to lose connection with your children, and Senator Garrett and I have been through a number of subcommittees on grandparents' rights. Well, I can guarantee this would be one of them, where you probably never see your grandkids. Probably never talk to your kid again, because you just took the love of their life, put them in jail, called them a sex offender, and put them on the sex offender registry, which limits where they can live, whether he can work, all the things negatively to why would you want to do this? This is a bill sent by a member of your party over one situation in their district. And we are going to now change the course of Iowa and all of its ramifications that make absolutely no sense and going to create hardship on many, many people. I mean, we don't know the day this is signed how many people have to break up or have to hide. They're out there, obviously they're out there. I've never seen a situation like this. We're going to pass a law that's going to require people that are responsibly in love to break up. There could even be a child involved. There could be a child involved. And we're going to make that person a criminal, sex predator. I don't know what all comes with it. If a restraining order comes, can he not visit his family? All those need to be thought about of what comes out of what we are doing, because everybody understands consent. But when we set, and why is 27? Why not 25? Why not 30? It's an arbitrary number on an individual situation that is going to change the course of people's lives. And I don't know why we're doing this. I can't even think of a good reason to jump on your side just for the sake of argument and help you out on this. I don't know how everybody else feels here. I would assume it's here. You're all going to vote for it. But you heard my arguments. You heard the scenarios. There could be children involved already. And we are now making that couple, even though they might not be married, we're making that an illegal situation. And that child's going to suffer. And that man is going to be a predator. And his background is going to show it. And his employment is at risk. I don't get it. I don't know what we're trying to accomplish or why, or I know who, I don't know why. And with that, I wish there was some discussion here because I want to hear it. You owe it to the state of Iowa, to people that are in this situation that might have children that now is going to label their father a sexual predator, and he can be convicted as an aggravated misdemeanor because the disgruntled father can press that charge. Child's prima facie evidence. So it's not a matter of denial. What are we doing? Is this one that could be thrown in the heap and say, no, we got bigger and better things to do? The Iowa legislature and the Iowa Senate? I think we do, and I think this is an example of carrying water for each other's proposals that sometimes you gotta tell, like your child, no. No. Sorry, we're not carrying this. This has too much ramifications for human beings across the state and turns our consent laws upside down. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other questions? There being none, you're in order for a closing comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you very much for your comments. One thing I do want to clear up, this is not putting the person on the sexual registry. So, just to let you know that part. And also, with this, what we're trying, or what is being tried here to do, is to, we have this situation where people are grooming people, young girls, and when they turn 16 at the age of consent, then the person knows. In the state of Iowa, we have the person, right now in law, that they can, the person can groom them, and when they turn 16, they can have sexual relationship with them. That's fine, but if they send a pornographic picture to them, it's against the law. But to have sex, it's okay, but to send a picture, it's against the law. So I would like to work on this in the interim to see if we can maybe come to an idea that we can, kind of curve out this a little bit. But this is what we're trying to do with this. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Short form has been requested. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Senator Peterson, Senator Hogue, Senator Taylor, Senator Bisognano, Senator Kinney. This passes under the Senate calendar under Rule 40.